Let's get started with our first news. Aljamain Sterling was not happy with Robert Whittaker. In a recent interview, Aljo opened up about a moment that clearly left a mark on him. He revealed that he wasn't too thrilled with Rob Whittaker's reaction following his first controversial fight against Petr Yan. If you remember, that was the fight where Aljo won the title after Yan was disqualified for landing an illegal knee. The result sparked a ton of backlash online, and it seems even some fellow fighters weren't in Aljo's corner, including Whittaker. "Rob kinda came for me," Aljo said. "I was a little salty at Whittaker at one point when he was talking about my fight with Yan, the first one. He kinda came for me, bro. And then he was talking about the rematch, saying I was pretty much gonna get killed." So not only did Whittaker criticize Aljo's performance, he also predicted that Yan would dominate him in the rematch. That stung, especially coming from someone Aljo genuinely respected. But here's the part that stood out. Rob didn't just throw shade and move on. After the rematch, which Sterling won by split decision and proved a lot of people wrong, Rob actually admitted he was mistaken. According to Aljo, he owned it like a man, and I respect that. He was like, "I got egg on my face, he shut me up." And I was like, okay, fair play, I appreciate that. That kind of honesty and accountability is rare, especially in the fight game where egos often get in the way. Sterling gave credit where it was due, but he didn't pretend the criticism didn't hurt. He continued, "All these other fighters, professionals who watch all these fights, were doubting me. So yeah, I had a little bit of salt, and I love Robert Whittaker, that's what made it worse." You could hear the disappointment in his tone. "That hurt my heart a little bit, bro," he said. I'm definitely a little offended by that. And normally I don't get offended because I don't give it, but it's like when it's someone you actually like, you're like, damn. That one kinda hits me in the left titty a little bit, you know? It's a raw and honest moment from Sterling, a guy who's been heavily scrutinized since the day he became champ, and it also shows how even the toughest fighters can still be affected by the words of people they admire. In the end though, Aljo respects Rob for owning up to it, and that mutual respect is still there. It's just a reminder that behind every championship belt is a human being dealing with opinions, pressure, and emotions, just like everyone else. Before moving to the next news, we have one quick request for you. We're constantly working on improving our content to earn your love and support. That's why we truly appreciate it if you could take just a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Your support really helps us grow and bring you even better content every single time. And of course, don't forget to leave your opinion in the comments. Let us know what you think we should improve next. Your feedback means a lot to us, and we're always listening. Thank you. Moving on to our next big update. Prochazka is now the official backup for UFC 320's massive light heavyweight title rematch between Magomed Ankalaev and Alex Pereira. That's right, if either of the main event fighters is forced to pull out, Jiri will be stepping in, and honestly, that's a pretty smart move by the UFC. What makes it even more interesting is that Jiri's already fighting on the same card. He was originally scheduled to take on Khalil Rountree in a high-stakes bout, and now he's also the backup for the championship main event. That's some serious dual responsibility, and it speaks volumes about the UFC's trust in Prochazka to deliver if needed. His team confirmed the news to MMA Fighting, locking him in as the official emergency title fight replacement. But of course, there's a catch. In order to be eligible to step in for the title, Jiri will have to make championship weight. That means 205 pounds on the dot. Normally for a non-title fight, fighters are allowed a 1-pound allowance, but because he's now the backup for a title fight, he's gotta hit that number exactly, no exceptions. That adds another layer of pressure for Jiri, who now has to prepare for 2 different opponents, make championship weight, and stay mentally ready for a major switch-up if anything goes wrong at the top of the card. And speaking of his originally scheduled opponent, Khalil Rountree, Jiri had a few things to say about him, too. In a recent interview, Jiri admitted he wasn't all that impressed with Khalil's last outing against Jamahal Hill. He described the performance as too hesitant, saying he didn't see the kind of urgency or finishing instinct you'd expect from someone trying to climb the ranks. Still, Jiri gave credit where it was due. He acknowledged that Khalil showed patience and stayed composed, even if the aggression wasn't quite there. It's clear that Prochazka respects Rountree's skill set, but he's not particularly concerned by what he's seen so far. Regardless, their fight now carries even more weight. It's shaping up to be a legit title eliminator. The winner, assuming Jiri doesn't end up stepping into the main event, could easily be next in line for the belt. But if anything changes on fight week, whether Ankalaev or Pereira can't make it, Jiri Prochazka is ready. This guy is a warrior, and he's made it clear he'll take that opportunity if it comes knocking. This entire setup adds even more fire to UFC 320. You've got Pereira versus Ankalaev 2 for the undisputed gold, Prochazka versus Roundtree as a title contender bout, and now a potential last-minute twist if someone from the main event pulls out. The light heavyweight division is officially heating up again, and fans should be excited. When asked directly about whether he was officially the backup, Jiri calmly said, "Yeah, that's right." He confirmed that was the deal with the UFC. No hesitation, just focus, confidence, and readiness. Exactly what you want from a top contender. And now, another headline that's making serious waves in the MMA world. Nate Diaz is calling out Max Holloway. That's right, last night Nate took to social media and publicly put Max on blast for wearing the BMF belt, a title that Nate himself helped make iconic. On X, Nate posted a picture of Max proudly holding the belt and wrote, "This guy cool, but he keeps wearing my belt." It's a classic Nate Diaz move, blunt, direct, and full of attitude, and fans immediately took notice. This isn't just random trash talk. Nate's been dropping hints about a comeback for weeks now, and it's becoming more and more obvious that he has his sights set on that BMF title. During UFC 318, while everyone else was watching the main card unfold, Nate was online throwing jabs, tweeting things like, "This fight's for my belt." In Nate's eyes, he never really lost the BMF crown. After all, he was part of the very first BMF fight, back at UFC 244 against Jorge Masvidal, a matchup that defined what the belt was supposed to represent: toughness, grit, and the kind of no-nonsense street-style fighter mentality that both Nate and Jorge embody. That's the Diaz brand, and he feels like Max is just holding on to something that still belongs to him. So the question now becomes, is this more than just talk? Honestly, it's hard to ignore how perfect this matchup would be. Nate Diaz versus Max Holloway for the BMF belt? That would be an insane fight. Both are cardio machines, both love to stand and trade, both have massive fan bases, and both carry that unmistakable BMF energy. Max is coming off that incredible KO win over Justin Gaethje, which earned him the belt and reminded everyone that he's still one of the most dangerous fighters in the world, no matter the division. But Nate, he's built different. He's never needed belts or rankings to prove his worth. He's a street soldier, a cult hero, and a guy who brings the fight every single time. From a stylistic standpoint, this would be fireworks. Max brings volume and precision, while Nate brings pressure, durability, and pure Stockton-style scrap. This would be an instant fan favorite, and likely one of the most watched fights of the year if it gets booked. Now, whether the UFC actually makes this happen remains to be seen, but the hype is already building. Nate's fans are rallying. Max hasn't responded yet, but you can bet he's heard the call out. If both sides say yes, this could become a main event that sells itself. So what do you think? Do you want to see Max Holloway versus Nate Diaz for the BMF title? Let us know in the comments below, because if this gets made, we're looking at a certified banger. And moving on to another brewing rivalry, Dan Hooker is not backing down from calling out Arman. Hangman continues to apply pressure, and he's making it clear that he wants this fight more than anyone else. In a fiery interview on Submission Radio, Hooker doubled down on his desire to fight Tsarukyan, specifically aiming for the November card at Madison Square Garden, one of the UFC's biggest stages of the year. Dan didn't hold back his word, saying, "I'm the only one that's gonna fight you, you dumb expletive. That's the fight, bro. I'm the only one that's gonna step up and fight the guy. Who else is gonna fight him?" This isn't the first time Hooker has taken aim at Arman. He's been vocal for months, trying to get this matchup locked in. But now with MSG on the horizon, his campaign is ramping up in intensity. For Hooker, this isn't just another fight, it's personal, and he wants to prove a point by taking on one of the most dangerous contenders in the lightweight division. Dan believes the timing and setting are perfect, with the UFC planning a stacked card for Madison Square Garden. Hooker sees this as a golden opportunity for both him and Tsarukyan to showcase their skills on one of the sport's most iconic platforms. He also shared some thoughts on the current landscape at lightweight and featherweight. Hooker speculated that Ilia Topuria might end up facing Justin Gaethje, while Max Holloway could be matched up with Charles Oliveira. If that's the case, it leaves Hooker and Tsarukyan as one of the few elite-level matchups available, and one that fans would love to see. The potential fight between Hooker and Tsarukyan would be a clash of styles, the gritty, experienced veteran versus the relentless, high-pressure rising contender. It would be a true test for both men, and with MSG as the battleground, the stakes couldn't be higher. Whether or not the UFC makes it official, one thing's for sure, Dan Hooker isn't staying quiet, and Arman Tsarukyan may not be able to ignore him for much longer. And now, let's check in on a concerning but inspiring health update from Ben Askren. The former UFC fighter and Olympic wrestler has had quite a roller coaster of a week. After initially being released from the hospital and sharing some optimistic, motivational words with his fans, things have taken an unfortunate turn. Ben is back in the hospital. Over the weekend, Ben posted a video update on Instagram showing himself riding a stationary bike. He appeared to be on the road to recovery and was in good spirits, encouraging his fans to stay strong through tough times. It seemed like his condition was improving and he was ready to get back on track. However, just a day later, Ben revealed that he had been readmitted to the hospital due to complications related to an infection. In a follow-up video posted Monday afternoon, Ben looked visibly more tired, but still managed to speak with his usual calm demeanor. "Well, as you guys can probably tell, I'm not home anymore," he said. "Unfortunately, I had my first checkup this morning. They didn't like the way the last chest tube looked. Thought it was infected." He went on to explain the next steps. "They put me on some antibiotics, had a few x-rays, and now hopefully we get this solved fast." Despite the seriousness of the situation, Ben maintained a resilient and composed attitude. In true Ben Askren fashion, he invoked the Stockdale paradox, a mindset he often references that balances optimism with brutal honesty about current circumstances. It wasn't always gonna be smooth, it wasn't always gonna be easy, it wasn't gonna always be all the way up, Ben explained. "Hopefully this is just a small hiccup, then I'm back home, getting stronger again." Ben's transparency and mental toughness have earned him praise from fans and fellow fighters alike. Despite the setback, he remains determined to fight through this and return to full health. The former welterweight contender has always been known for his mental fortitude, both inside and outside the cage, and this situation is no different. Support for Ben continues to pour in across social media, with the MMA community rallying behind him. Fighters, fans, and commentators have all been sending positive messages and prayers his way. Here's hoping this is just a temporary bump in the road for Ben Askren. We're all wishing for a speedy recovery and looking forward to seeing him back on his feet, stronger than ever. Now let's talk about a massive upcoming clash. Michael Bisping just broke down the highly anticipated Tom Aspinall vs. Ciryl Gane fight. This will be Tom's first official title defense as the undisputed UFC heavyweight champion, and fans around the world are eager to see how he handles the pressure against one of the most technical heavyweights on the roster. Sure, the hype surrounding the fight may not be at the fever pitch it would have reached if it were Tom versus Jon Jones, but make no mistake, this bout is a high-level, dangerous test for both men. On the feet, Ciryl Gane might just be the slickest striker in the heavyweight division. His footwork, movement, and distance control are elite. As Bisping pointed out, Gane is hard to touch. That kind of evasiveness and precision is rare, especially among heavyweights. And Bisping even went a step further, suggesting that Ciryl might actually be slicker than Aspinall in pure striking, which adds another fascinating layer to this matchup. But don't get it twisted, Tom Aspinall's knockout power is real. His ability to close distance quickly, unleash explosive combinations, and finish fights in a flash makes him one of the most dangerous men in the UFC. As Bisping said, Tom can still knock him out, no doubt about that. His killer instinct is a game changer. Once he smells blood, it's usually over. That's why strategy will be crucial. According to Bisping, if Aspinall wants to maximize his chances, he should lean into his grappling and take this fight to the ground. Cyryl's ground game has been exposed before, especially in his title fight against Francis Ngannou, and Tom has the speed, agility, and wrestling base to drag Gane into deep waters. If there's one place Gane has struggled, Bisping said, it's when he's flat on his back with a monster on top of him. Size-wise, both men are big, fast, and freakishly athletic, but Bisping did give Gane a slight edge in movement. Still, when it comes to raw power and grappling, that's all Tom. And if Gane hasn't been living in Dagestan training wrestling day and night, Bisping joked, Tom's probably got the edge. He even added that Aspinall might not need the wrestling. Tom could knock him out on the feet too. This matchup will tell us a lot about the current state of the heavyweight division. Can Gane's footwork and finesse neutralize Tom's pressure and power, Or will Aspinall show that he's not just powerful, he's complete? One thing is certain, this fight is a must-watch, alongside all the other chaos in MMA right now. From Hooker calling out Tsarukyan, to Nate Diaz and Max Holloway circling a BMF showdown, the UFC landscape is shifting fast. Strap in, because the ride is far from over.